Wow, look at that logo.
Beautiful.
For the brand new Buena Vista Company in the brand new process of CinemaScope. And here's a main title for Donald Duck that we're not used to seeing because it's invented for this CinemaScope cartoon. I'm Leonard Maltin.
And I'm Jerry Beck. And I love looking at this, done in that modern 50s UPA-ish graphic style.
And look at those two names, background Ivan Earl and layout Lance Nolly. They're the sort of the heroes of this cartoon.
Yes.
Because they created the look. I mean, Charles Nichols directed it, but they created this beautiful look. Ivan Earl, a very stylish and talented artist who brought a graphic style to background work that hadn't been seen at Disney. And here's a little CinemaScope joke, which we like.
Spread out, little folks. This is CinemaScope.
Considering a lot of this cartoon plays against these huge backdrops. Again, you can't deny Ivan Earl and Lance Nolly. They really are the stars of this cartoon.
Yes. Along with Donald and the Ranger.
The Ranger, voiced by Bill Thompson, who this is actually the second of 5 cartoons that this character appears in.
Pretty soon we wouldn't have a canyon, would we?
It's an organically pure cartoon because the whole notion of setting a CinemaScope widescreen cartoon in the Grand Canyon is perfect. It's just a perfect idea. What better backdrop could there be for Donald to show off this new widescreen vista?
It reminds me of those South American cartoons a little bit that they made about 10 years earlier, where he's a tourist, in Three Caballeros and Saludos Amigos and things like that. And so he fit perfectly with this situation.
And of course, along with the new widescreen, people got something different orally as well because there was stereophonic sound. CinemaScope was married to stereophonic sound as an innovation. So you not only saw more than you're used to seeing on the big theater screen, but you heard dimensional and directional sound.
In fact, Ward Kimball points out this sneeze gag as an example of the directional sound experiment that they were doing in this film.
Yes, he wrote an article about working in CinemaScope for Films in Review magazine, which was an erudite film buff magazine of the day.
And he explained that they had to have larger cells, and the lighting had to be more powerful to
Look
light
at that
this.
image. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. But the characters don't get lost in the scenery. That's what I like about this cartoon.
No, that's beautiful layout when that happens.
And that's all so carefully planned. And the artists and animators at Disney were still feeling their way with this new format. Here they've been working in a particular frame size for several decades, and they had to completely reorient their thinking. And I think they did it beautifully.
Yeah, the first cartoon they did in scope, Toot Whistle Plunk and Boom, is really a lot of graphic images that happen on one side of the screen or the other side of the screen. They use CinemaScope great in that film, but this film uses it differently. This is where they place a small character in a large canvas.
And look at that shot with the pillars. That's such a perfect CinemaScope shot. And yet it's not saying, hi, I'm showing off for CinemaScope. It's a gag. It's a gag that actually works integrally with the film and with the whole idea of the poor burro being blinded by the flash.
I have a theory about CinemaScope cartoons at this period. I actually think they saved the short cartoon at the Disney studio for a few years. Since Hollywood was going 3D and CinemaScope and all that, they had to have shorts, and the backlog, which the studios were winding down. They stopped making shorts. Disney was going into features. He was going into television. But they needed shorts to play in the new formats, and I think that the scope format was really one of all the crazy formats they came up with in the early 50s to combat television. Scope is the one that lasted. We still have it today.
That's right. And of course, this was a perfect accompaniment to the studio's first CinemaScope feature, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. There's a rare close-up in CinemaScope, but it's done for effect. And of course, if you save your close-ups and use them judiciously, they really have an impact.
Right. I noticed that the close-ups are extremely brief. There are very few times they do them in this film. They're just for a few seconds.
Rigidly enforced.
But you could do a a study of just the backgrounds, those beautiful paintings by Ivan Earl, and enjoy them. But they were just components here. They were just a part of the finished product. They were never meant to dwarf or eclipse Donald and the other characters in the foreground. And that's why this film works so well, I think, is that there's that perfect balance.
When we're watching it on TV now and the characters seem small in some of the shots, they didn't look that small on those giant screens that these were projected on. The detail of the characters had to be just as precise, even if they're small in the frame, because it was being projected a lot larger.
That's right. I mean, even those of you who are watching this on a really sophisticated home theater setup can't entirely replicate the experience of seeing this on a gigantic theater screen in a great old movie palace. Hey, wait a minute. Is that a dinosaur climbing out of the Grand Canyon? Maybe he's left over from Fantasia.
Well, I hope you're satisfied. You two have, in a matter of minutes, messed up what it took Mother Nature millions of years.
When you consider the fact that this film was made at a time when short subjects really were being phased out, to put this kind of time and effort and money into a simple 7-minute Donald Duck cartoon really says something.
Yes.
And it says something about what they considered the value of CinemaScope to be and how it would be perceived by the audience.
And that Donald was a big enough star to be the person to star in these cartoons.
Yes, exactly. It was not insignificant that they chose Donald to be the star of this CinemaScope cartoon.